Yeah, I just seen the Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that. I be seeing Jimmy talking about, we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Them out, we Gucci boo boo. The Black King, they was going you up. Jimmy, they was like, Marita Monero.
Jones, right? He ran with the same I ran with a decade before I met him. Jim Jones, the Dipset, the that was just over there dancing and on verses. Jim Jones was running with Shotty, Cafano Jordan, right? Mel Matrix, Jamel Jones, Roland Martin. He was running Fu Banger, Fuquan. I forgot his last name, Fuquan something. He was running with all of the cats.
50 Cent simply will not let those rumors concerning Jim Jones die. And now, as loud and untidy as ever, he's returned to stir things up once more, dragging Jones through the mud with so-called receipts. You are already aware that Jim Jones has been evading those serious informant rumors for a considerable amount of time if you have been following the streets and blogs. It all began when his name became involved in the Tekashi 6 IX9 in trial following the disclosure of a wiretap in which he was reportedly planning to harm 6ix9ine. Jim, however, was far from the heat when the federal government pounded the 9. Trey Bloods, Jim Jones remained untouchable. Everyone began to wonder how he was able to be captured on camera discussing significant gang matters without ever being charged. Let's go ahead to the present. Jim Jones and Cameron are already engaged in a heated internet argument, exchanging barbs. But just when Jimmy thought things couldn't get much worse, 50 Cent, the master provocateur, showed up with brand new receipts. Additionally, 50 claims that Jones has been a Fed informant in secret for years. However, is there any evidence that Jim Jones collaborated with the federal government? What was the precise way in which he retaliated against 54 publicly exposing him? Let's dissect this insanity. Jim Jones and Cameron, the dips at OGs, are at odds once more. Additionally, it seems far too personal this time.
Said it, but I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam.
Then you gotta watch and see how he responds. Did you see?
He was funny. I thought it was funny when he said, but I didn't think it'd be a big deal because you make up with every nigga that put hands on you. But I see the pattern now. If you don't agree to disagree with you and don't want to take it that route because they got some genuine love for you, you keep.
You are well aware that these two have experienced a roller coaster if you have been following Dipset history. One moment, brothers, the next enmity-filled adversaries. Their long-standing nasty problems are now erupting once more. And it all comes down to 50 Cent agitating the pot with wild vigor once more. What exactly triggered all of this then? 50 Cent was recently seated on Cameron's podcast. Additionally, Cam brought up an event that has been plaguing him for years during their conversation. That's how he brought up Dipset's terrible feud with G-Unit in 2007. Jim Jones randomly popped up at one of 50 concerts. Here are 50's thoughts on that outrageous move. However, Jim Jones then went to Justin LeBoy's Respectfully podcast to share his perspective. And he remained steadfast in his decision to perform with 50 Cent in 2007. Rap. Politics to disrupt his financial situation. Jimmy didn't stop there though. He went all out on Cam and 50, accusing them of blatantly referencing his name and asserting that they both owe him a great deal of favors. Jim then went all out, claiming complete responsibility for the diplomat's whole look and boasting that he was the inspiration behind Cameron's renowned drip and even got him to don the recognizable pink fur coat. However, as you are fully aware, Cam was not going to tolerate such rudeness. He responded strongly to his and Mace's podcast, and let's say he went all out for Jimmy.
Jimmy was not a rapper then.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like on the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally he had him. He had one. And I just looked, and
Cam didn't just shoot back. He called Jim out for lying about being from Harlem and questioned his entire origin narrative for the Dipset. Jim wasn't some genuine day-one friend, in Cam's opinion. Furthermore, contrary to what Jim Jones frequently asserts, they were not growing up together in the trenches. Additionally, when Jimmy claimed to have observed Mace's kid cam after signing with Does Bad Boy, Cam didn't believe Jim's warped version of events. Cam quickly put a halt to that, claiming that Jim only showed up much later after Cam had established himself in the industry as a member of the renowned Harlem group Children of the Corn, which included Mace, Big L, and his cousin Bloodshed. Additionally, Cam completely made fun of Jimmy for acknowledging that Mace was the one who taught him how to rap, giving the impression that Jim was only a little buddy attempting to blend in. And that type of insult must hurt a lot for someone like Jones, who takes pleasure in his street reputation. Today, Jimmy chose to tease a remix of his Harlem song as his answer to Cam's criticism rather than responding verbally. Still representing Harlem, Jimmy returned with a full complement of Harlem heavyweights, including Dave East, Joel Santana, Vado, and even to luminaries like Gucci. Even while Jim didn't explicitly acknowledge that this was a direct reaction to Cam's cunning remarks, the streets quickly picked up on it and took off.
I just took the shot, murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was going to go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you got to watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, like that. Hey, give me this. Get me Jimmy. Yeah, tell him we want him. We want you at the show, Jimmy.
However, 50 Cent would finally calm down. And this time, he brought up the informant rumors about Jimmy directly back on the table rather than discussing music. A photo of Jim standing beside Jay-Z, D, Fat Joe, and other celebrities became viral on Instagram. Then, with the comment, "Lol, individual one, calling the shots out here," he tossed fuel on the flames. "Please don't say ish to me individually. I know you're busy." For those who were unclear, this was a clear reference to the long-standing rumors that Jim Jones had been an FBI informant during 6ix9's trial. A wiretapped phone call purportedly showing Jim Jones declaring that 6ix9 was no longer a gang member and that he needed to be raped surfaced back when 6ix9 was testifying and snitching on his 9 Trey Bloods associates. And you know what? 50 made sure to spread the word about it by making the phone call's exact transcript publicly available. To put things in perspective, Tekashi 69 was charged with federal racketeering and gun charges in 2018. Along with members of the Bloods' most vicious faction, the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods. And the rap game was completely turned upside down by that case.
It fit me because they seem like you don't want to see nobody else win.
Right.
And I need to win. I got to win in spirit.
So,
You heard? I didn't put all this work in for nothing. You dig? I didn't teach myself how to rap for nothing. I didn't jump all on this game to be famous for nothing. I need to capitalize and be just as famous as the most famous, most successful, rich person in this game also. I'm now in the game.
I still gotta know, like, how did that work? You performing, like,
They called me like, yo, you want to come out and perform at the show?
For a long period, the federal government had been assembling evidence against Nin Trey, and 6ix9 quickly turned into a government witness in return for a reduced sentence once he was ultimately discovered slipping. Thus, 6ix9 named several people when he testified against his old 9 Trey allies, Anthony, Harv Ellison, Algeria, Newcomb, Mack, and others during his notorious courtroom spying binge in September 2019. He provided the court with in-depth descriptions of gang activities, which resulted in several people facing harsh consequences. This is where Jim Jones became involved in the situation. Wiretap recordings aired during 6ix's 9-inch testimony revealed his name. Jones was apparently heard talking about 6ix's 9-inch predicament with another 9 Trey member on those records, which immediately caused the streets to erupt with inquiries. Jamal Melmorda Jones was one of the 9 Trey members. After 6ix9ine openly attempted to separate himself from 9 Trey. Jim Jones and Melmorda appeared to be talking about penalizing him in their wiretapped chat. Many others interpreted Jones' purported statement that 6ix9ine needs to be violated as a clear invitation to harm the rapper with the rainbow hair. There were 2 main reasons why this tape rocked the streets and the industry. It demonstrated that Jim Jones had close relationships with senior Nin Trey members and brought up the urgent question of why Jim was never charged. Jones remained at large even after being seen on a government wiretap purportedly planning a potential reprisal. Thus, both supporters and detractors began requesting explanations following the trial. How could Jim Jones become embroiled in such a complex federal prosecution and escape punishment when the top 9 Trey members were imprisoned? Naturally, all have led to a rational conjecture that Jim Jones may have been evading those accusations by working covertly with the government or by posing as a confidential informant. Horrible.
Okay.
For the diplomats. You heard? Dan the Cam's pink. You heard? Hits up.
Nah.
All right. Sooner or later, he gonna have to tell it. Where he got the pink from.
And push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that. And you started pink and you made the diplomats, which is just, if people choose to believe that, then look, I got a Brooklyn.
Wack 100, who flatly accused Jones of being an FBI informant, was the one who loudly promoted these claims. Wack said that Jim's cooperation with law authorities was the only reason he was never arrested following that wiretap. In Clubhouse forums, podcasts, and even interviews with 6ix9ine, Wack emphasized this point further and daringly challenged Jim Jones to demonstrate that he wasn't out here collaborating with the federal government. Jim vehemently refuted each and every one of these accusations, characterizing Wack as a blatant liar and only a clout chaser. Here's the catch, though. He never gave a clear explanation for why, despite being discovered on those federal wiretaps, he was not taken into custody. Jim Jones has never been identified as a cooperative witness, and no public record ever shows him testifying or helping law enforcement. Despite the fact that there is no proof that he is an informant, there are still many questions that remain once charges are dropped. It appears that 50 Cent touched a nerve because Jim immediately clapped back. He started out by accusing 50 of lying, even going so far as to upload a stylish picture of himself, relaxing by the pool with the words, "Why do you keep on lying? Lol? I'm going back to sleep," Jim said, dismissing it. Male-free Matrix 2. It is inverted. However, many fans remain unconvinced, despite Jim's denial of those informant claims. Every time this subject is brought up, individuals begin to sidestep and pose the same urgent query. When all of the other 90 members were taken down, how did Jimmy escape prosecution? And this fire isn't going out anytime soon, since 50 Cent keeps the conversation going and trolling. A fan stated Jim Jones, a high-ranking gang member, was telling his cousin, another high-ranking gang member, basically ordering a hit on someone, and the one he told it to got arrested while he didn't. No, dude, there's a stench in Denmark, someone else said. 69 informed the Globe that there were many more snitches, but no one was interested in hearing them. I'm going back to sleep, Jim said, dismissing it. Matrix 2, free mail. It is inverted. However, many fans just do not believe Jim's denial of the revealing accusations. People start side-eyeing and asking the same difficult question whenever this topic comes up. When everyone else was caught up, how did Jimmy manage to get away with it? And it's obvious that this issue isn't going away anytime soon, given 50 C's constant taunting. A fan commented, Jim Jones, a high-ranking gang member, told his cousin, another high-ranking gang member, to basically order a hit on someone, and the one he told it to got arrested, but he didn't. No, dude. Another person said 669 told the world there were plenty of other snitches, but nobody wanted to listen. Something stinks in Denmark, the first one said. The questions aren't going away, and the streets are now humming more than before. But how do you feel about all of this? Is Dipset doomed to last, or do you believe Cameron and Jim will ever mend their damaged relationship? What are your thoughts on 50 Cent bringing the Informant claims back into the public eye? Post your opinions in the comments section. Press the like button and remember to subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming crazy video.